The sky goes green before the sirens do. You're in your kitchen when the windows start humming. A low vibration you feel in your teeth before you hear it. You already know what to do, because you've drilled it 40 times. Black out the windows. Kill the breakers. Get everyone into the hallway, away from glass. You have maybe 90 seconds before the first wave of pressure hits. You make it 11 steps before the front door blows inward. But first, let's go back 4 years and see how you got here. You are 36. You're a structural engineer who spent a decade building things meant to survive earthquakes, not invasions. 6 years ago, a 7.1 hit your city while you were on a job site. You watched a building you hadn't designed come down 2 blocks away, and you watched people who had no plan freeze instead of run. It didn't leave you afraid. It left you obsessed with the gap between prepared and not. You started reading. Not conspiracy forums, actual declassified reports, orbital debris data, radar anomalies logged by amateur astronomers, disaster response protocols from 3 different countries. You noticed something the disaster agencies weren't saying out loud. None of their plans accounted for an arrival with no warning window at all. So you built your own. A folding, 1-page protocol. Shelter, seal, silence, signal. You posted it online for free. It got shared 9 times the first week. Then 90. Then 9,000. People started sending you questions. What do I do if I'm driving? What do I do with kids under 5? What do I do if the power's out for a month? You answered everyone. You turned the answers into a course. You called it contactready. One night, a woman named Talia messages you after finishing the course. She tells you she hasn't slept without nightmares since she watched the news coverage of the first confirmed flyover 18 months ago. She says your protocol is the first thing that made the fear feel like it had somewhere to go. She tells you you gave her nights back. Her name is Talia, and you believe her. Talia finishes advanced training and starts helping you run beginner sessions. She brings her brother. Her brother brings his whole apartment building. By month 10, contactready has 30,000 members and its own regional chapters. You start a live stream drilling real scenarios, grid down, mass evacuation, close proximity contact. By month 14, 250,000 people are watching every session. The membership grows, but the real shift is the phrase. You don't remember exactly when you first said it. Probably during a session with a man who kept apologizing for how scared he was for his kids. You told him, fear that has a plan isn't fear anymore. It's a skill. He went quiet. Then he said nobody had ever put it that way before. You wrote it down that night. It started appearing on patches, on the chapter banners, tattooed on a volunteer's forearm before the year was out. You hold your first full-scale field exercise. You call it a drill weekend. 80 people, a decommissioned airbase you leased cheap, $600 a head for full gear and simulation. It sells out in 3 hours. By the end of that weekend, 10 of those 80 will become your core instructor team. You don't know that yet. Neither do they. Her name is Renee. She's a former combat medic. 5 months ago, she watched a training accident kill a recruit under her care, and the review board cleared her. But she hasn't forgiven herself. At 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, she finds your live stream. She watches every archived session in a row. She signs up for the next drill weekend. The drill runs 3 days. On the final night, during the live evacuation simulation, Renee breaks. Real breaking, the kind you've only seen a handful of times. She's on the ground behind a supply crate, hands shaking, saying she can't lose anyone else, not one more person. You get to her first. You don't run the checklist. You just stay with her until her breathing evens out. When she finally stands, something in her face has rearranged. She tells you she's done taking contract medic work. She's staying. The drill ends at dawn. 10 of you stand on the tarmac in the gray light, gear still stacked around you. Renee is closest to you. You say the phrase. Fear that has a plan isn't fear anymore. It's a skill. Nobody speaks for a long time. Your core team is 14 people now. You started calling them the cadre, half as a joke about the military language. It stops being a joke by month 5. On Sunday nights, the cadre eats together at the airbase you've since bought outright. Renee usually runs the drills before dinner. You give a short briefing on new protocol data. Missing one becomes, without anyone deciding it out loud, unforgivable. All 14 members relocate within 20 minutes of the base. Most quit their jobs to run ContactReady full-time. Renee becomes your training director. Intake, screening, the debrief sessions after anyone breaks during a drill. She's very good at it. In 7 months, she certifies 400 new instructors. Talia handles the money out of a converted hangar office. A man from an early drill sells his house to fund a bunker-grade shelter prototype you designed. You let him. You never have to ask anyone for money again. A training exercise goes wrong. Renee is running point on a live scenario. It's supposed to be controlled, but a recruit panics mid-drill and Renee has to physically restrain him to keep him from bolting into a live zone. By the end of the night, he's apologizing to her, and she's the one telling him that's just what real preparation feels like the first time. A journalist publishes the first skeptical piece. It's not hostile. She spent 6 months on it. It doesn't call ContactReady a cult. It doesn't call you a fraud. It just lists things. The $600 weekends, the members who've quit jobs and sold homes, the fact that no government agency has certified any of your protocols, the fact that new recruits sign a release preventing them from discussing unauthorized drill methods, the fact that leaving mid-drill is treated as an incident. A woman named Priya publishes an essay. The title, "I trained for the invasion for 2 years. She was in the cadre's outer ring for 18 months. She left 5 months ago." In the essay, she writes about missing her father's surgery because the base runs a no-phones policy during multi-day drills, and how by the time she got a signal back, it had already happened and gone fine, and no one had thought to try harder to reach her. The essay hits 500,000 views in 4 days. 3 more former members write their own within the week. You tell the cadre that doubt is just an unrun drill, a fear you haven't trained through yet. You tell them the people who leave were never serious about surviving. Meanwhile, in one of Renee's screening calls, a new recruit says she doesn't know if she can keep doing this, that she misses her mother, that she hasn't called home in 3 weeks. Renee opens her mouth to reassure her and hears herself say it before she decides to. Doubt is just an unrun drill. She watches the woman nod. She watches her start to cry. She's seen that look on 100 faces. Something in Renee goes cold. This woman needs her actual family, not another simulation. Renee doesn't say anything else. That night she buys a notebook. She writes down everything she's watched happen over 5 years. The names, the money, the phrases, the recruits who left and what was said about them after. She keeps the notebook in a lockbox. The journalist has been building a documentary about ContactReady for over a year. Release is 8 weeks out. When your security team tells you, you can't sleep. You tell the cadre that everything you've built, the training, the families, the people who finally know what to do instead of freezing, is 2 months from being torn apart if nobody acts. Talia raises her hand. She says the work has to be protected. She says she knows people who can make problems like this quietly disappear. You don't ask what she means. You don't say no. For 3 nights, the cadre meets in the hangar office. You stay in your quarters. You don't ask what's discussed. On the 3rd morning, Talia crosses the tarmac at sunrise and nods at you through the window. You nod back. Nothing needs to be said. The journalist's car goes off a coastal road 2 weeks before her release date. Wet pavement, according to the initial report. She doesn't walk away from it. Renee was in the room when Talia first said she had a plan. She watched you stay silent and let her keep talking. She's watching the news when the story breaks. She calls the number on an exit counselor's card a former recruit once pressed into her hand years ago, the one she never threw away. She tells him she needs to talk. Tonight. It's a Wednesday afternoon in May. You're mid-briefing when the vehicles roll onto the tarmac. You don't grab your gear. You don't grab your notebook. You run through the hangar, past the shelter prototype, over the perimeter fence, into open scrubland where the drill flags still snap in the wind, oblivious. Something roars overhead. A hand closes around your arm before you reach the tree line. Your face goes into the dirt. A knee finds your spine. And the strange part is, you never actually decided any of it. Not the cadre, not the phrase, not the silence you let sit in that hangar for 3 nights. You just never once said stop.